And we are live coming from the dirty South, which is Salem, North Carolina. How you doing today, Miko, in Philadelphia there?
I am quite busy.
Yeah?
So I guess, that can be a good thing, I guess. But sometimes it can be a little too busy where you can't catch your breath. So I'm in one of those moments in time. But, before you know it, be able to relax a little bit. Before you know it, we'll be hanging out in, Cleveland, Ohio.
That's right.
Before you know it,
Thinking about that
we'll be
today.
doing like the 10th anniversary of Big Scott 35, starting Let's Talk episodes. Who knows? Time flies.
Right, yeah. And y'all had the Battle of Philadelphia this weekend? Or not, Pennsylvania?
Battle of Pennsylvania, yeah. 2-2 tie, so we'll see what happens when they play out in Pittsburgh at some point later in the year.
Right. So that is a home and away. They do have a home and away for that one?
Yeah, they'll play both areas, I believe.
Oh, yeah, because they're both National League. Yeah, the Pirates, man. What is it about April with the Pirates?
I don't know. They were excellent last year, off to a good start this year. Hopefully they can keep it up. I'd like to see them, compete and be good, but we'll have to see how that goes ultimately.
People in the chat, let me know if my audio goes to poop or if you can hear me fine now. I've been having some audio issues the last few days. I think I got it rectified, but I didn't know my last video sounded like poo. So I got a comment, and then my dad told me about it today while we were doing our video this week, which I shared a picture that Mike sent me to share with my pop. So it starts out as it's pretty good, but we had a good show. Does it feel like there is more? I don't know if this play is strong or the competition is pretty much equal. Yeah, toxicity. I see I left a Y off there. Today I did that and took a nap. I worked this morning, so it's been a long day for me. So
Toxicit.
Yeah, Toxicit or whatever. But it seems like it's kind of like the NFL where most of the teams are. It don't matter how much money is influenced into the game. There's a couple of dominant teams, but everybody else is key.
Yeah, it's still early too. So you're gonna have hot streaks, teams on fire. Baseball, one of the reasons they play out 62 games.
Now your audio is poo, Mike. Just to let you know.
Completely terrible.
Now you're good.
It might have gotten a little loose.
Oh, okay.
No, I was going to say the length of the baseball season is supposed to separate, and that's what we have sometimes. You have a lot of teams that are first half teams. They compete in the first half or maybe up through August and they fade in September, especially some younger teams that maybe aren't used to the lengthy seasons or maybe teams don't have the depth. So we'll see how things play out. There's still a lot of star players, a lot of good players who haven't even homered yet or only a guy like Bryce Harper for the Phillies. He's had that one big game where he had 3 home runs, 6 RBIs, but outside of that, he's been pretty poor offensively.
Yeah, I know. I got him on my fantasy team.
So we have a lot of things like that. So things will still work out a little bit. But I do think, first of all, the international, the draft, some incentives, some teams going with younger players a little more. Just the quality of players in Major League Baseball is excellent. I know a lot of people, old school people, will poo-poo certain things. Pitchers not going this long, this and that. But the overall quality of talent, maybe some guys need to develop their talent more, this or that. But, it's just really good. So it's been fun to follow and watch.
Yeah, so
far.
Jackson Holliday got his first hit today. So it'll be a Tops Now card of him tomorrow.
That's a lock.
Right. Excited because his first his tops now card. Yeah, but Amari, that's one person you don't have to worry about. I don't know how many bases he probably already stole. But so his top now was a rookie card logo, so that's exciting to see. So happy to see that. And they saw a thing today where they got 4 guys in AAA. I mean, I don't know if anybody's looked at their AAA roster. I don't know who took Jackson Holliday's spot, but you're not batting 300 in that lineup. I don't know if you're they're the Tidewater. The Norfolk Tides. I keep calling them Tidewater. The Norfolk Tides, Baltimore's AAA. They are just not much pitching, but man, they just crush it. So that if you're a prospect watching person, and they've been showing their games on MLB they highlight some minor league teams, and that one's been highlighted quite a bit. So I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah, man, it would be. I mean, it's hard. It's really hard to win a World Series because you obviously need talent. You need good players. You need to be healthy. You need a lot of luck. You need the breaks. I mean, it's just, we see it more and more, especially with the expanded playoffs. It's never been easier to make it to the postseason, but it's never been harder to be a good team and win the World Series because, one of the reasons a team like the Yankees has 27 World Championships, and you give them credit, they have 27 World Championships. But if all those seasons took place in the current format, they'd probably have 15 championships.
Well, it's been proven that. I mean,
Yeah.
Even though they've had some bad years a few decades ago, I mean, they've had some powerhouse teams, and it's a long season, and you got to stay healthy, and I mean, and you got to face it. Even what the extended playoff format has done is added more games, which is more innings for pitchers, and we're going to start seeing that in years. Philadelphia has played a lot of games in the last few years, and that's got to give some wear and tear. The Diamondbacks look like they're having a little bit of a hangover for being so close. And, that's a young team, so they're not bounced back as well. And me and my dad talk about this very long today because I think it does have something to do with some of the pitching issues with arms. Our friend Wesker Griff in our group chat put it great that they throw 100% on every pitch. I don't think the pitch clock has anything to do with it. I think that's Major League just trying to get rid of it, or the Players Association trying to get rid of it. I just really don't have much. Hey, Carl, thanks for letting me know my audio stunk in my video yesterday. Well, and Battery, my dad brought up an awesome point, which you can catch tomorrow. That these pitchers, when my dad was, coming up, they had off-season jobs. They didn't have the money that they were making. They had to, do other things. So they didn't throw in the off-season. Spring training was their true training session. Now these pitchers know the only way to get the big bucks in their next contract is to throw 100 miles an hour. So as soon as the season's over with, they're right at it, trying to throw harder, getting max spin, trying everything every day to be better, to get that big contract or hold their spot, either or. So there's no off season for a lot of these guys, or for any of them anymore. I think that has a lot more to do with it than anything else. And it's sad to hear that Strider is definitely out, and I just hate to see good players out. It sucks. But let's get to the card part of this, because that's what this channel is. So we're getting close to the basketball playoffs. We're getting close to the hockey playoffs, if anybody cares. We're getting close to NFL draft time. and a lot of exciting stuff in our card world. The UFL seems to be doing well. I don't know if anybody has a card contract with them, but Panini smart, they should. Well, that and they have to throw that way too early. Yeah, well, my dad has a great discussion on little leaguers throwing curveballs and stuff. But Mike, are you seeing any uptick in other sports picking up at all, or any interest in your uh, eBay store?
I mean, I have very limited hockey and basketball stuff, so it's few and far between when I sell stuff. I've actually sold a decent amount of football recently, surprisingly, even though it's the off season. But
Right.
right now, honestly, the last week has been dominated by Heritage. Heritage, the last few years has been like, I don't know, a complete afterthought. And this year, it seems like it's incredibly popular. I don't know if it's because of the vibrant colors and the design and something different and colorful, and whether it's people who are reminiscing about the 75 set, or if it's just even newer people being like, oh, that set's interesting. You know, they don't even know it's based on
Well,
75.
I
But the last couple years, and it also could be we're getting back to more collectors being involved, whereas we went through that multi-year thing where it was all about the hypes, all about the hits, all about, this
yeah.
and that. And
Well,
Heritage was like the hitless product that, those types of
and
people
I
didn't
think
care
they
about.
kind of changed that a little bit. Hang with me here, and this is where the corporation thing comes in. And I have toxicity question mark. That's supposed to be a icity at the end of that. Um, and I think this is where Fanatics comes in as a sporting clothing company. They know how to sell their product. And we talked about it before. They're not stacking product on top of product on top of product. We had Tops Series 1. Then you had the big league, which is an entry level, low dollar amount. Series 1 is not going to break the bank on you. Don't matter where you do. From US, that's good. I like that, Amari. Thank you for that. I would never have known that. Thank you for that. I think that was a big fight night last night. Somebody got knocked out with like a second left on the clock. So you got a few weeks, and you have Heritage, which is another kind of like in between entry level and Series 1. But this year in Heritage, they've added more chrome stuff. They got that white border along with the other border stuff. Different pictures. They changed up the short print. They've really brought some enthusiasm to that product, and I think Fanatics selling tennis shoes, and I've come from a tennis shoe background. Don't everybody hold that against me, but I used to sell tennis shoes in a previous life. In release days, we would have a line out the door. Down the street, we would open at 7, 8 in the morning to do that. We would have midnight releases. And I think Fanatics understands that. And I think that's what they bring to the table for this. How do you feel about that, Mike?
I mean, they definitely have done way more promotion. I've seen more commercials and advertisement. And, they send out blasts with different stuff, on different Fanatics emails and things like that. So they're definitely better at promoting stuff. So I think it's a combination. I think it's that. I think it's a little bit with the set design, a little bit with the excitement of the early season, the players, the rookie class for sure to a degree, even though we have a lot of rookies like Heritage High Number. You're probably going to have Langford and Holiday and all these guys.
So here's a great question from Carlisle, the battery. Was it my imagination, or were we missing, or were we missing the minis? And that was
So I have
And
an answer to that. I don't know if you know the answer yet,
no,
Scott.
go ahead. I would love to hear because I had an idea, but let's.
So I thought they would be a parallel, maybe one per pack or an insert, couple per box, and then I thought maybe they'd be a box topper. Well,
Uh-huh.
evidently, the reason they were not included in this is because in a few weeks you will see a product come out that will be called Topps Heritage Mini. So I don't know exactly how it's going to be released, if it's on demand by the pack or if it's by set or something like that. But there will be a mini set that will be coming out.
Because the minis were sold separately. They weren't in the packs. It
Okay.
was its own set. And this is what I was thinking. And if I was working at Top/Fanatics, this would have been my idea. I would have put it, that would have been the Topps high number. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like when I released
Short
the Topps,
prints.
the minis would have been that set. And, you would have had some variants, from the regular card and all that stuff. Not everybody would be in it, but, you have all the new rookies and them. That would have been my idea, but only released in Michigan. Yeah. But I didn't know they were doing that. That's
Yeah, I just saw it the other day.
awesome. Awesome. I take a look at that again. I did put out there that Target had a pretty good sale. If you're opening products retail, they had a pretty good sale on Heritage this past week. That was the newest product they had. I don't know if Series 1 was in that. Was it, Mike, for that?
It was. I actually ordered a couple super boxes online.
Oh, you did? Okay.
So, yeah, it was a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I was looking to see if they had this year's hockey on it. That was about the only thing I was interested
Yeah,
in.
I think they're sold out of the hockey.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I saw last year, 2020, 22, 23. Um, but, I just didn't. They had the newer WWE product, the Elite, Don Ross Elite. That doesn't look appeasing to me, so I passed on that too. So I didn't buy anything. Still haven't bought any wax this year. I'm proud of myself for baseball. I did buy a 10 of Upper Deck golf a few weeks ago that had Tiger Woods on the cover, and it had some hot shots in there. So I thought that was pretty cool. So I wanted that. Opened it. Had some fun with that with the Masters this weekend and everything. I haven't even seen who won. Somebody knows who won the Masters. Post it if you don't mind. I'm just happy my Mets pulled 2 out of 3. They're on a roll. Sorry,
I saw a
Barry.
big win today. I saw the end of that. I saw them go ahead. Your boy
Yeah,
Pete scored the run, right?
yeah,
Give them
yeah,
the 1-0 lead.
yeah. What's sad though is I was watching the game before I did fall asleep while watching it. Oh, Scheffler won. Okay. I know it was a tough course today and they had to fight to win earlier in the week. So, but anyway, but that's Augusta. It's every year like that in Augusta. Yeah, poor. So Marte hard slides into the play. Not really hard, but and Salvador Perez kind of took it on his leg. It wasn't dirty play or anything. I would tell you straight up, but of
Did
course
Jeff
Salvador.
McNeil freak out and yell at him?
No, Salvador made a play. Menendez put it right there, threw him out at the plate. Great play. I was not happy. Talking to my mom on the phone, and she told me to calm down. 7 birdies today.
That sounds like the time I freaked out last year with that Harper. When Harper got thrown out, no, when he got thrown out of the game by your boy Angel.
Oh, yeah.
I remember ranting to you and some other friends of ours, but I also did the same thing with my dad. He's like, relax. He's like, he's not worth getting sick over. I'm like, yeah, well, this guy's an asshole.
That guy cannot be in a she's horrible. But, I mean, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that's for your show tomorrow, I'm sure. But that guy is
Yeah.
Angel Hernandez. Like I was thinking this last night. Just I know it's not really related to cards and interrupting your thoughts, but
No, go ahead.
he like literally what's best for baseball is everyone needs to unite. You need to unite the country and get this asshole out of baseball because
Yeah.
I went off on the Harper thing last year because I said I was like being straight honest. I was like, there are people paying big money to go to these games. They're going there to watch Bryce Harper, a star from that team. They're not going to see this jerk off. And then you have a guy like Wyatt Langford, who's an upcoming player, who's got a good eye, trying to make his way into baseball, doesn't see one strike, lays off of everyone, and gets called out on strikes.
Yeah,
and
doesn't he have like very high walk rate to strikeout ratio? Langford?
Yeah, I think so. But it's like Angel Hernandez needs to go, and this is what's best for everyone involved. Everyone. That should be in the presidential debates coming up. These two guys should come out and be like, I will get this son of a bitch out of baseball.
But my dad brought up a great point. You know, a few years ago, he brought a suit against MLB for keeping him out of the playoffs.
I don't care what happens.
On race.
Everyone.
So that scared the shit out of him.
So Rob Manfred needs to get him out. The owners need to find a way to get him out. The umpires union should unite to get him out because he's making them single-handedly look bad. The players need to get him out. His freaking family is got to be embarrassed for generations, so they should find a way to get him out. I'm telling you, everyone on earth.
His great-grandkids don't even know yet.
He literally he needs to go. Like, I know it sounds exaggeration and hopefully, getting some chuckles and laughs out of it, but, like, he is horrific for the game of baseball. It's just gotten to the point where he's so absolutely outrageous.
That's true.
I don't care who he wants to sue. If you're any judge in the world, I don't care. You just boom immediately back. No, you go to jail for 2 years. You get sent to a desert. Like you're just a jackass. Like go away. You suck beyond belief.
Yeah, last I saw, nobody's bought an Angel Hernandez jersey. So,
but he sucks. It's not even like.
Here's my issue with Angel Hernandez since we're talking about him. MLB has not done anything to him publicly, nor will they, because they don't want to make the umpires look bad in the public. But it doesn't look like they've ever done anything to him. So I think, and that's to me has opened the door for other umpires to just don't care. They don't care. They can get away with it. I've seen some more bad. Not a lot, not as bad as some other years, but there's been some bad umpiring behind the plate, especially this year. I know it's tough. These guys throw hard with a lot of movement, but when the ball is outside, and it's not even close, and you're calling strikes, and the players don't even know where your strike zone is, it's okay to be bad as long as you're constant with being bad. Then the players know where your strike zone is. But when you're all over the place, I mean, that's where.
And I'm not anti-umpire and stuff. Like, and believe me, I understand. It's a difficult job. Like, I fully expect you to miss pitches from time to time.
Yeah, nobody's perfect.
When you consistently miss pitches and you consistently miss bad pitches, and then on top of that, you act like a prick. Like, you at this point have to know you suck. Like, there's no doubt. Like, you think it's funny at this point. I remember he was getting cursed off after that Harper game by Phillies fans, and he was just sitting there smiling and stuff. He loves it.
He likes to be the best. So in that Fried pitch down the middle or up a little high, but it was a strike, plain as day. I mean, even Stephen Wonder was like, "That's a strike." He was looking around to see if anybody's going to say. He was waiting for Fried to say something to him to toss him. He loves to be the bad guy. He's the Razor Ramon of the MLB umpires. Somebody's got to be the bad guy. Oh, here we go. Just in time, Ed. Hey, Ed, I just want to let you know, I think you're shadow banned because your stuff's not coming up for me. And when I look you up on YouTube, it's a hard search right now. I don't know why.
Really? That's interesting.
When I go to my subscribers, it's in alphabetical order. So I just type in Wesker Griff. It's a lot quicker for me. And like, you don't even come up on like, I can click on your name. I have to go to the search thing, and then it comes up, and then I got to search it there.
I haven't really been uploading many videos recently.
Right.
I've been a little slow with videos, so I haven't been in the feeds
Spitfire
recently.
Mail Day wasn't too long ago.
That's what I was watching because he told me to, and I love that. That was a crispy card too. Having said all that, I've been astonished how often
I'm gonna have to check this out. This is interesting. I wasn't aware of this.
I think there's a team of investors trying to take you down. That would be my guess.
Speaking of bad guys, Ed comes in. Yeah, you're right, Battery. Like, it's awesome how good the umpiring is, but when it's a bad apple, it's a bad apple. But I'm glad you joined us, Ed, because I know today is what I wanted to talk about. Is you've been harping on corporations and our hobby, making that almighty dollar. With it almost like eBay and collectors made a trade of sorts, one buying one and one buying the other. Haven't heard you really weigh in on that, Ed. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, another acquisition. They keep eating each other. JSA got scooped on up. Now Golden and eBay partnering up. Seems a lot of that's been going on since the pandemic, which I've mentioned it a couple times. There's always been a corporate presence within the hobby. Make no bones about it. But the last 4 years, I would say, we just seen it's really off the handle now with a lot of the corporations just completely taking over the space. Mm-hmm. You could go to the National too. Look at the National 6, 7, 8 years ago. There's some corporate presence, but kind of light. Now, the last couple Nationals, it has dominated the showroom floor.
I was thinking that when you were saying that,
have gotten worse.
Yeah. What's that? What's got worse?
The giveaways.
Yeah. Corporations, 2017, corporate part of the floor was in the middle of Chicago. Only that one section was open. They didn't even have the carpet area open yet. But last year it was in the middle, pushed all the way back almost to the carpet area. And then they were in the other rooms as well. I know it is.
All 96 grading companies were present, except for GMA.
Well, thank you, Zach. It's not much to look at, but Mike's walking around doing stuff as he's talking, so I know what he's doing. It is, he can't show off. Hey, what's up, card cutter? So yeah, when I saw that, my first instinct was, man, I wonder how good
I'm showing my face.
You are. With
Ed, no, that could be Ed's face. He just hasn't shaved or gotten a haircut lately.
Yeah. That's the Hound from Game of Thrones.
It is the Hound.
Ed is the Hound.
But my thought was, because in all of that, I haven't really heard a lot of people talk about it, period, because it was just like a trade. But what I noticed was a big deal was now when you send a PSA will send it to eBay for you.
They're doing a lot of that crap, which I understand the purpose from here and there, flipping certain things. Like I understand the appeal of it in certain occasions, but generally speaking, using it a lot, especially they like to tie it into collecting. I disagree with that. Like, who wants to collect cards that you never actually get to see or touch in person? It's silly.
That was my whole thing. I was like, well, this is just another thing for the selling part of the whole thing, the corporate part of it, the selling, which I don't have a problem with it because that's how I buy my cards is from people selling them. But it's going to keep that price point up at PSA. It just proves another point that PSA, the collector, is no longer in the mind of PSA. It's generating that the higher end from point to get it to the point of sales. They're trying to cut out some time for you because they know it's taking long. Even buying CSG, they want to cut down their turnaround rate because they know that's their one part that they hurt for the selling aspect of it. Now they're offering to send it right to eBay for you. It's just that to me was what kind of got me, and it didn't piss me off because I have choices. A, I don't have to get it graded. B, I can buy it already graded from one of the companies, or I can send it to another company, and I'm doing all three of those or all four of those. I said four. I can't. My maths is all wrong. So that was my whole thought on that. Was like, and again, one of my friends from high school that I talk to every once in a while, he's a novice in this, so he'll text me with questions and stuff, and he's learned a lot, and I love that part of it. But he even mentioned, without listening to Ed, about the funness of just buying the cards, and now it's just so corporate with these types of things. So I think that made like a national news, or at least in the business world, when that happened.
I mean, Golden pumps themselves a lot, and Ken Golden's, I know it's been on, like, I don't know if he's still doing it, but I remember in the past seeing he would be doing all kinds of appearances on Fox Business and CNBC and all those like kind of business networks, talking about different stuff, and a lot of other podcasts and things. So I mean, that doesn't surprise me. And eBay is very aggressive with trading cards because they know they're one of, if not the top selling platform.
Wasn't it like 30-some% of their business is trading cards or something?
Yeah,
like that?
I mean, because certain things with eBay is still hot, and like people obviously go on eBay to shop for anything and everything, and people are selling stuff. But nowadays, there's the Facebook Marketplace, which is big with a lot of your bigger items that you're selling out of your garage. But there are people who have businesses, they do that. They sell all kinds of shit, like, I don't know, vintage T-shirts, all toys. All kinds
Bobbles
of stuff.
has gone that route. I mean, he's killing it.
You have other websites like that. I don't, Mercari and Posh something. I don't know that much. I don't know what people sell on there, but trading cards is big on eBay, and it's been a big part of the trading card platform for 20 years.
Well, I know Instagram with the newer generation. Instagram is a big.
People doing live sales on there and Twitter.
Yeah,
and all that. But eBay is being aggressive, and I think owning Golden gives them another outlet, or maybe even able to change, because eBay is like big for dollar cards, team sets, and even $500 cards, $1,000 cards. But when you start there are some sales for the pricey cards, and by pricey I'm talking like cards that you, me, Ed aren't going to buy all that often, $5, $10, $20, $30,000 cards. Like, that's not the place because of the cost. People use the auction houses because a lot of auction houses, for people who don't know, they want those big items, and they charge. When you buy these items, you pay a fee on there. So a lot of times, some places, if you have big enough cards, like say the Babe Ruths, Gaudis, stuff like that, they're not only going to not charge you a commission, like sometimes they'll give you an extra 2% of what your selling price is, and then they just make it up on the buyer's fees.
Right.
So, people aren't going to buy it as much on eBay, sell that stuff on eBay, and then pay 13% fees or 15%.
Well,
or whatever
eBay went with that third party. There's one of my boss at work sold one of his cards, and now he's got to send it to get it authenticated to the authentication to go to the buyer. I think that's all part of this. And Amari brings up a question, but I think it's a good point. Do you think we as a hobby told on ourselves during the pandemic and attracted corporate players? Well, anytime there's money to be made, it's going to attract corporate. It's going to attract
exactly.
It made it more, because it became more mainstream and more popular and got more attention. It definitely brought
when
attention towards
ESPN shows up at the National, that's big time. That's huge.
And eBay's making moves. Like there's some stuff going on with just trying to make it easier to sell cards, to list cards on there that haven't been made public yet. I'm sure there's a handful of people who have eBay stores probably know, but aren't allowed to say anything. So they're trying to do different things and stuff to get more people to list more cards, because the more cards listed, the more selection, the more stuff can sell. The more they sell, obviously, the more they make. And they want people to be consistently buying stuff. That, obviously you'll take any kind of business, but you want people to get into that habit of going, you know what, it's Friday night, let me shop around on eBay.
Battery says he's having a tough time filling his vintage Braves team sets on eBay. He had to go to an auction house to get his 52 Matthews. Video soon, which I encourage people to go. The best scanner, best crisp pictures you'll ever see on YouTube. I don't know what he's using or whatever, but he's got a great setup there. And then Amari says we can just blame old G off, but Jeff just timed. I think his timing, and that's part of being successful business. His timing was perfect to be on the scene. He came in right before the pandemic. I don't know if all of this was up and up, but he had some good backing and got traction, and then the pandemic took care of the rest. So, as for somebody that obviously doesn't know much about sports itself, he has a lot of people that listen to him.
Well, I did hear there was a podcast recently I heard where they were talking about that. Like, he's actually a terrible card investor, but he's obviously a great businessman and really good at, getting ahead of the curve on certain things and building up things that people pay attention to. But if you actually look at the stuff he's bought and things like that, he's not.
And like I said many times, I really think he's the face of a larger entity that we probably don't know all the players. I've been saying that since the beginning. There was things at the very beginning that kind of led to that. And that's the way I kind of feel with that. But he's a great talker, and he makes it sound like he knows what he's talking about, unless he actually has to talk about it. So
I do find it interesting that Carlisle mentioned that he's having a harder time filling his sets, his vintage Braves team sets, because I think my opinion on the matter is pretty well documented, especially in our chats, about how a lot of people, I think, that came into the hobby or came back into the hobby around the time of the pandemic, I think a lot of them have shifted from ultra-modern basketball, the ultra-modern football, the hot commodities, and have gone all in on vintage. And I think that's what a lot of people are buying up. A lot of people are buying up collections. A lot of people are buying up inventory. And at the Philly show, that's why I'm always asking people at card shows, like, hey, the people going around the show selling, like, what's in their cases or what are they trying to sell? And I was telling Mike this. I mean, the observations that we make at the Philly show and at the local mall shows, a lot of that basketball prism stuff is gone. It's predominantly vintage now that people are going around trying to move.
Yeah, and we have noticed, we got friends on YouTube that are selling parts of their collection. I just saw somebody else, was it Sean on Facebook, announcing he was selling a lot of his vintage stuff. I don't know if this is where they think the peak is, or I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out, scratch my head a little bit. I understand that you want, if you're a collection, because I'll be the first one to tell you, I completely understand when your collection has gotten out of hand and you need to downsize. I don't have any issues with that. but I am noticing a lot of people with that is selling quite a bit of their vintage stuff. Zach is asking, does he think that if we have any idea or thoughts on eBay just closing Golden? I don't think they will, because Golden's name is too big. I just think it'll be Golden Auctions brought to you by eBay. But
yeah, and a lot of cross promotion and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. That's a little different for me than PSA buying SGC. Because like you said, eBay kind of tops out at a certain amount. Because people rather send their stuff to auction houses at that point. And you got to understand, Golden does a lot more than just cards. They do all kinds of stuff. So, it's a bigger entity. Golden Auctions has such a great name. eBay would be kind of dumb to get rid of it. But who knows? Because Battery thinks that eBay sellers are deliberately listing ridiculous prices to encourage people to buy offline without eBay. Because the eBay fees, I don't deal with it as much. I'm going to list some stuff here probably in the next week or so. Get some liquidity going. Is that the right term there? I don't know. Some cash in the pocket before the national. But is more people trying to get off eBay? It just seems like eBay's still crazy to me with cards.
But eBay really makes it pretty easy. Like I get it, the fees they suck, but like the reality is like if you use some of these other places like Whatnot and all those, like you don't have as much control over your pricing and you're going to pay fees on all that. Plus eBay makes it really easy in terms of they collect all the sales tax and all those things for you and stuff like that. Like they do have a lot of things where they kind of set it up that it's pretty easy to use, and you have that worldwide market.
Yeah, you can reach a lot more people. And I understand why people use Facebook Marketplace and stuff, and or even, list your cards on a sheet to let everybody see them and do a YouTube video to sell them. I understand. You want to maximize your money. Do whatever, do whatever you feel is best. Battery kind of say, and I don't think, let me see how I put this. The corporation toxicity thing. Usually corporations come in, you got big business, capitalism, usually swallows up everything and destroys it over time. I am still in a wait and see mode, but the more the corporate machine starts getting into this, I kind of feel like my buddy Ed here. It's not going to be good for the little guy. It's not going to be more productive for us. It's going to be for them to make the most, get the most blood out of this rock they can. It's going to be how much money can they make at the end of the day, especially if they are publicly traded or got a board. It's going to be about that. And
it makes it harder with the less competition to kind of make a point. Like unless you have and with cards, you're going to have less of a public outcry, generally speaking. But we've gotten a lot of that with the MLB jerseys. Like I got to think they make some kind of change next year.
Oh, that jersey today!
The amount of negativity they've gotten and attention it's gotten from all sorts of baseball fans. I like to see that.
Yeah, McNeil's name doesn't even go across the full number on that. It's weird.
It's ridiculous.
I've seen T-shirt jerseys look better The beauty of capitalism is that every transaction is voluntary. It's the most human system on earth. You keep screwing me, good luck with the next transaction. And that's 100% true until they own it all and you don't have a choice. We always have this is a hobby. It's an ultimate choice. We can stop. I said before, we can stop buying the new stuff today, or they can stop making it, and the hobby will still keep going because there's enough out there already. We'll have to buy more dead guys, but there's always going to be some sort of hobby out there if we want it. But my thing with the corporation and Fanatics having that monopoly is PSA is trying to figure out, collectors is trying to figure out, and eBay, how to put more and more of their claws into the secondary market. And that's where I think our issue is going to be. ComC I buy, but don't really get steals like eBay. And the other problem with ComC right now, I'm waiting on 20 some cards, and they're not. I bought them last month, and I got to wait till next month to get them. That makes no sense.
I finally just put in. I had a bunch sitting there, and I had some money in it, and I just kind of went and spent the last $15-$20 I had in the account. Worked it to literally the penny to get it to where I just pay for the shipping and get it shipped to me. And I put in the order, and it said it expected arrival date or ship date was like June 11th. I'm like,
right. Mine is May 5th, I think. And I'm like, how is this? What kind of business plan is
well,
this?
That's the thing. They got a little better for a little while because it's always like it's a great site for buying singles and stuff until all of a sudden you want your cards and they get behind and you're like, oh, I got to wait 3 months. I'm going to forget that I even bought the damn things. And that just turns me off. I'm like, oh, I want to get all of my money out of here. And I'll just, the hell with
it makes me feel like they want you to more keep the cards in the inventory there and resell them. Yes, it's like a buy, sell, don't ever get them from us. Don't do that. We have a warehouse that you can see from space. So I guess they got 2 people walking around pulling cards. I don't understand what's going on there. But I
haven't used ComC probably since before the pandemic because they had
that way at this point.
Yeah.
Well, I remember during the pandemic, it was a total nightmare to get your cards. I think it was over 6, 7, 8 months to get orders processed. And that obviously was because of the COVID protocols and the social distancing. They couldn't have X amount of people in the facilities, but they're great. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm bashing ComC. They're a great resource for collectors. They're a great place to use, but I haven't seen any reason for me to use them.
Yeah. Well, that's my last place I go when I'm looking for stuff. And I'm like Mike, I had some money sitting there. So, I had some money. So I was like, let me see what 24 feats they have. And like a dummy, I didn't put them down in my spreadsheet to purchase them. I had to go back through and do it. So I wouldn't buy them twice because I was like, I thought I already had that card. And I mean, it's not a lot of cards. And last time they told me a date, it was 2 weeks after that it actually got shipped. So,
I don't understand how they get themselves in this situation consistently. Like, it's like, if you want to be that big of a business, figure it the hell out and have enough of a team that maybe you get delayed by a couple days, but a couple months is ridiculous. So, I mean, they're at the point where, I think people should start to abandon them, but they have such a big customer base, it's going to be hard. I don't even know who's sending them shit because, they take so damn long to process and stuff.
I think
it's great that they do all the work and you just type in some prices, but
yeah,
I mean, by the time this stuff's up on their site, like, it's old product, like.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. The last point I want to make, and I'm glad y'all two are here, and again, somebody else. I don't understand that these people that are supposed to be the be all of our hobby, the people that put themselves on the pedestal and everybody look at me, give this Kurt guy a platform to
Oh
promote
Jesus!
his shit.
Oh Jesus!
Okay, I mean,
Jurassic Park.
I don't understand it. Jeff, not Jeff. What's his face up in
Floating
Canada?
Head.
Floating Head did it this week, and he has a huge outreach, and they're not questioning or pushing back. It is giving him a platform, and if you don't say anything against it, it's almost like, okay, if he leave, I'm gonna be for him, and then if the next guy comes on as against it, I'm gonna play with his genitalia for a little while. I mean, it's sickening. It's
for clicks, views, and
for clicks.
engagement. Clicks,
Yeah.
views, and engagement. Rinse and repeat.
I mean, I haven't watched any of the videos because I refuse to support it. I don't really care to hear what this guy has to say, but I agree. I mean, what's the benefit of giving it a platform other than your own selfish motivations? Because, I mean, come on.
You're
Yeah,
promoting destroying cards.
And there's even certain
you're
things
destroying cards.
You can literally debate certain things. You can, like, again, I don't see anything wrong with wiping down your Topps Chrome card. You put a fingerprint on it, you're altering the card, so take it back off, like, by wiping it. I see absolutely nothing wrong with stuff like that. And even if you wanted to do something like remove wax or something, like just by wiping it down with a cloth, like whatever, it's not, I mean, some people might be completely against it, some people probably don't care. At least that's kind of, I don't know, I guess it becomes a fine line, but that's so much different than chopping the corners or soaking and straightening out and
rolling
stuff. Like, all this shit is ridiculous.
Well, and at the end of the day, this guy's either selling a kit, which there's kits out there for cleaning, which I don't know why you need a X-Acto knife to clean, and chemicals, and also, or you send it to them to prep to go to PSA. I think it's ridiculous. They should be investigated. To me, it is you're sending stuff through the mail. At that point, it's a federal offense. I have a lot of issues with it. I'm tired of being nice about it. I let people go on these ethics and moral judgments, because if it's your card staying in your thing, go right ahead, do what you want. But when you go to sell it, you better damn well acknowledge it. And like I said, I know I have cards that are tampered with in my collection. Why do I know? Because I bought a lot of cards. Do I know which ones? No, but I have. I bought cards, so I'm sure one of them has been tampered with. Go ahead, and I'm sorry to step on this.
It's in the pursuit of value, in the pursuit of money, and in that pursuit of money, you're seeing the erosion of the collector mindset and of the collector values. Like, we do not soak cards in chemicals. This is not a controversial take. This shouldn't even be a discussion. This is just common card collector knowledge.
And now this Kurt guy is looked upon as a great person in our hobby by many people.
And I guarantee his sales are through the roof. Guaranteed.
Yep.
Yes, because a lot of people are financially motivated in this hobby and they want money, which is the sad reality. I mean, that's the elephant in the room. People want to clean the cards because they want to sell it for more money. But we don't know what's going to happen to these cards 5 to 10 years from now. They're going to wind up showing staining. If you're soaking paper, especially old paper, or even the newer stuff, because even ultra modern and modern is not excused from this. They're soaking those cards too. Like, you're using chemicals on these cards. It's paper. They're going to wind up showing signs of that down the road. It might not happen overnight. It might not be a year from now. It might not be 2 years from now, but down the road, 5 to 10 years, it's going to It's going to show signs of that fuckery. And can you imagine 10 years from now, all these PSA slabs with high-grade vintage cards or high-grade, low-numbered, ultra-modern cards of key rookies? Can you imagine 10 years from now, you look in the slab and there's just erosion of the card?
Yeah, and I brought it up before. My job is I'm a chemical. I work with chemicals every day. Did it for 5 hours today. I see what chemicals do firsthand. I've seen them on body parts. I've seen them on clothing. I've seen it make stuff. I make pharmaceuticals. And we have to hold everything we make to test over certain amounts of time to see the degradation of those chemicals. The stuff wears off. And when it does, it's not a good thing. It changes the chemical compound of stuff.
Like, let me give you a hypothetical situation. Let's say you're rich, you have a lot of money, you want to speculate on something. You haven't watched a baseball game in a decade, so you're going to buy a Mickey Mantle 1952 Topps.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to buy a high grade because you have a lot of money. You got boatloads of cash. You want to diversify. Okay, so you go to an auction house. You go to Heritage. You buy, I don't know, a PSA 7 or an 8. Brand new in the new lighthouse holder. Beautiful card. Looks immaculate. The eye appeal is incredible. Looks like it just came out of the pack. It survived the Hudson. It didn't go into the river. Beautiful card. Okay, you put that baby in your safety deposit box. Okay, 10 years from now, okay, I want to sell it. You pull that baby out of the safety deposit box, and it's got all these weird stains on it that wasn't on the card when you bought it. What happens in a situation like that? Well, now the card is no longer the grade that it's supposed to be. How do you get your money back?
It's too
Do you
late.
go to the auction house? How do you like this is a problem. This is laying the groundwork for future really big problems in the hobby.
Right.
And these fucking fools they're selling the cards now so they don't give a shit. But like this is a long-term problem. And it's only going to get worse. Not to be a doomer, but
well,
you got to look down the road here.
When we brought this up a couple of weeks ago, I brought up, it might even been last week, I can't remember. I brought up the chemicals. And if there is chemicals, and Carlisle seems to think it's just water, which it could be to straighten the corners out. But I guarantee you they're using some type of blend of like Windex with water, diluting it. They're doing something to bring the brightness out in some of these cards. I know there's a solution they make to sometimes get because chrome can get a film on it to bring it back to sharpness, like it was just pulled out of a pack. And the reason why I know this is because another fixer was on another channel that I stopped watching because of this very thing. I can't support if you support this. If you don't push back and you're on there telling everybody they should buy this kit and there's nothing wrong with it, and you don't push back, I have an issue. You have to defend why this is okay. And I said this before, I think a lot of these come from the shoe side of things where it's perfectly okay to do this, to bring the shoes back to what they were when they bought it. Buy the card, not the chemicals.
We're moving the goal line. Cleaning used to just be, okay, I take a microfiber cloth and I just wipe down the card. I just get the fingerprints on it. Or if you had a vintage card, you get pantyhose and you just.
And I remember when the pantyhose was a
take
issue.
It. That's it. That's it. When you are submerging a card in a foreign substance, that is textbook definition of alteration. That is not cleaning.
Yeah.
And if you say that to some people, they look at you like you're an old curmudgeon or you're an old man. Get out of the way. Like, this is just common etiquette. This is common knowledge.
compare it to art. Art has been, curated and fixed over
Well, that whole
millennia.
argument, that whole argument I find hilarious because that's the same argument PWCC used, Brent used during that whole PSA Slabgate fuckery that went on in 2019.
And everybody wanted
That feels like it was like 25 years ago.
Right.
But you see, a lot of people didn't know about that because they came into the hobby around the time of the pandemic. Or Joe Blow, who's been out of the hobby since the 80s, came back and he don't know about that.
Well, I mean, I was watching somebody that, and they caught my eye because they said PSA screwed me, so I wanted to laugh a little bit how PSA screwed him. And he had a whole stack of the Bowman with the TVs, and the whole stack were been colored, touched up with color. And he was a little peeved about that. A couple made it through, but the rest of them, it said, detection of coloring. And I was sitting there going, man, and he said he knew the seller, so he was going to contact the seller to see what happened. But, all this stuff, and Carlos has said it, it's always been around, even before, or people that don't get graded, they've always tried to make the cards look better, even if they're selling them raw, because you get a better price if they look better. But now, they used to do it back in the back room. Now they're doing it right out in the open and selling the product for everybody else to do. And then now it's widespread. And like you said, it's going to be something that
the genie's out of the bottle.
Yeah.
And we don't want to. We have these philosophical discussions in our group chat a lot, but we don't want to admit that a bulk of the hobby now is more in it for financial reasons than love of collecting.
Mm-hmm.
So they're willing to overlook a lot of this buffoonery that goes on
for a
in the pursuit of financial gain.
Yeah, and Zach brings up a point. He says he's agreeing with what we said, but the common sense is, why can't I wipe it down but not rub a compound on it? And the reason is you're not, even if I was going to buy an artwork, okay, and somebody restored it, you are let known that has been restored. When I go and buy vintage, or not even vintage, tennis shoes from one of these tennis shoe shops in the mall now that resells these high-end shoes, it's well known that they've been at least sprayed with something if it has like foot stink in it, right? We know some of this stuff. In the card world, it wasn't acceptable. It's never been acceptable. And nobody is telling anybody that this has been done. And now that the grading companies know more about what they're looking at, they're catching more and more of this stuff because more people are being more vigilant in the real world and pushing back a little bit. But we're not pushing back where it needs to be pushed right now. If you're a talking head of this community and you invite one of these guys on that's promoting a product to do this, my first question is, why do you think this is okay? I don't give a shit how you do it. Why do you think it's okay? And then every time they bring up something, I'm going to counterpoint, because I would love to have one of them on here, but there's no end game for them to come on my channel. I got 10 people watching me right now. They're all about the clicks. They don't want to come on somebody that's going to push back on them. So
plus they know there's that possibility you'll invite Wesker Griff on to give
I would have all y'all on. I can have 10 people on my channel.
I mean, the whole microfiber cloth thing with wiping a card down, that originated from breaking, because breakers weren't wearing gloves. They were opening so many cards and thumbing them up with their hands. And if you thumb up a chromium card, it's going to leave your fingerprint on it. So how do you get it off? You just take a microfiber cloth and gently just down the card. It's off. There.
Right.
Compared to What these guys are doing, they're submerging cards in fucking chemicals.
Right. Getting the
Like,
corners back.
this is. It's not even in the same. We're not even in the same ball field. We're not even in the same galaxy here on what is being done. And I do agree, there isn't any defined. Like, it's not clearly defined. Like, people tend to have different opinions on this, but it's been well documented within the hobby that there's certain things that are alteration. You cut a card up, that's alteration. You trim the corners, that's alteration. If you're soaking the card, again, I'm beating a dead horse. If you're soaking the card in a foreign substance that has chemicals in it, that is alteration.
I mean, I bought a Nolan Ryan rookie altered card just because a PSA altered. It said altered on it, just because I could afford that. Right? It was just going in a binder. I broke it out, and put it in a binder. It's, I even stuck a sticky note on the back of it saying altered. So when in my oldness and I forget it, it's there. I just I feel like if you know it and you sell it that way, it's one thing. If you hide it, trying to make every dollar you can, that is just immoral and ethical.
Yeah, that's shady. I mean, I've always had a suspicious eye towards high graded vintage. Like, it's never really sat with me well. Like, that card's especially if it doesn't have like provenance to it. Like, okay, that's a PSA 9 1952 Topps Jackie Robinson. Like, come on, like, what happened there? Like, it's that card is like, what, 70 years old, and
right.
Like, how's it in like it came out of the pack like that? Like, so I've always had a suspicious eye for higher grade vintage, and I don't know, like, this whole situation, I think, I hope it's not as widespread as I think it is, but it don't look good. What I would, and the way to adapt to that as a collector is just to focus on lower grade and focus on lower grade that's not in a lighthouse holder if you're buying graded.
I still think lower grades could be, because if you have a 1 and you move it up to a 2.5,
well,
that's
depending
money.
on the card. Yes, correct. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah, I mean that's it is. As a collector, what do you do? And I put it out of my mind. Of course, you're always trying to see if it's good or not. I bought that Mickey Cochran that I'm so happy about at a 1.5, 1.5. If it's altered, I don't give a shit. It's a 1.5. But it's in my collection now. I have the card. I know it's a real card. It altered or not, it's a real card. So that's kind of the way I got to look at it. That's one reason why buying low grade, to me, you don't really give a shit at the end of the day. I got the card. As long as it looks good to me, all the parts are there. So that's one good thing about bargain hunting, as I like to do when it comes to dead cats. So.
See, and Zach's saying, do they think it's okay or just in it for the money? I'm not sure card cleaners care. The guys setting up at card shows are making crazy money. No, they don't give a fuck.
They
don't care. They care about collecting money. PC and Ben Franklin. Yep. PC and Andrew Jackson.
Laughing at us US for buying dudes on paper. That's they probably never, they don't even collect. If they do, it's something else. They're not, they might not even be living in our world, but they found a niche. They found something that they could sell in our world. And that's where the toxicity lies. And the more that these larger channels give them a platform and in a way making it okay, it's going to find its way definitely in the mainstream where who knows, is Fanatics going to have it on their website that you can buy this shit? Or, then PSA is going to say, hey, if it looks good, we don't care.
Well, at least thankfully PSA came out and said it's alteration. If you do this to the card, it's alteration.
What's up, B? Yeah, White Sox not looking good. Yeah, yeah, Gary, and that's a great point, but it's just us giving this guy a platform and not even saying a word, like making him defend it is where I'm at the end of the day. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm sorry if I've been having issues with my internet all evening, so if I'm lagging or anything, I apologize. Any closing words, Maiko? Because it seems like we lost Ed. Ed's head exploded.
Oh man. I mean, nothing specific. It's just the world we live in right now, and it'll be that way for a while. You're gonna have more and more big companies buying up other companies, and things condensing to a degree, and we're gonna continue to see this alteration stuff because it's getting a lot of attention right now, and people are letting it slide or being okay with it, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's my thought is like I'm not okay with it. I'm an older guy. 52. I'm not an old guy, but I've been here for a little bit. I just this is the hill I'm deciding to die on. And let's put it that way. A lot of things I ran about, a lot of things I don't really point fingers at people. But when I feel like something is wrong, I tend to want to fight a little bit. And I feel like this is really wrong. And when there's people, money at stake, friends that I like, well, come on back, Ed. I see you got booted. Okay. I feel like that's where my issue lies. But I want to end with this. Enjoy the hobby any way you do. I don't want this to put a bad taste in anybody's mouth because I still go to shows, still look at vintage. I don't even think it's not my forefront of my mind, at least when I'm looking at cards, if they're altered or not. But I'm not a sucker either. I'm going to look at the card and look. I have black lights. I have most time you take out a magnifying glass or a jeweler's glass with a black light, you'll find out if they know it's altered before you even look at the card. That's a funny thing. That's all I want to say. I love this hobby. That's why I get so passionate about it. It's my separation from the real world. So when somebody tries to F with that, that's why I get this way. And I don't think I'm being F with yet, but I don't want to see my friends out there that are using hard-earned money to get F'd. And that's all it is. I just wanted to say that because it's really upsetting that these big name guys, are giving this guy a platform and not pushing back. So with that, watch the games, enjoy the hobby. Love all y'all. Thanks for watching. Thanks for choosing my channel for the place you stop by and watch. Until next time. Oh, and subscribe if you haven't. And see ya.